G'day, good evening. I hope you're well wherever you sit and listen. This is a medical cannabis show that respects the law and respects organic practices. So you won't see any disrespect for the law or any synthetic type practices that will be in this stream today. I haven't organised anything to talk about. Where's the slide thing? And it's an open discussion today. So we'll see how it eventuates. So it's an open medical cannabis topic, and we're going to respect the law and what I say and in my practices. Yes, you just got to do it. There's no other way anyway. So wait for people to come up. Otherwise, what I'll do, I have to show some of my slides, which you guys and girls mightn't be too happy about. So I'll wait for some people to rock up. There's already, G'day Cloudscape Mystico. And how you going, Dave, 1969? Cloud Mystico says, oi. Hi. Lift out the O. No, it's oh, hi. He said anyway. I was on the screen. And Dave says, everyone, it's going to be a hot one. Whoa, Dave. That's no good. Keep your hat and your liquids up. Shade and liquids, mate. Shade helps in these hot days. Cloudscape Mysterio. Yo.
That's no good. Keep your hat and your liquids up.
My mistake-o. Cloud Mysterio. My mistake-o. That's funny. All right. Well, I'll wait for a few people to rock up because there's no questions in chat that I can bounce off, I suppose. So I'm going to have to show some of the stuff that I'm not sure if you guys want to see. So hit me up with your questions. Now we can start and put a theme to the stream. Otherwise, it's going to be whatever I want. So I'm going to start and look for something to show you related to plant, soil science, and microbiology for medical cannabis. No. All right, share screen. Plant science. So in hither, what should we talk about here? Plant science or soil science? Maybe we should go into a bit of soil science because we've done plant science last week and for quite a few other weeks. All right, let's see what's going on in soil science. I'll just get it ready first. Instead of sharing everything. Oh, there's a question. Add that to the stream. There you are. Yes. Oh, benefits of defoliating and not defoliating. Whew. So you're pruning. Jeff Propelia. How you going, mate? Nice to see you. So benefits of defoliating or not defoliating. What can I show you in that? I've made a video on pruning, so I'm going to go into that section. Well, I should find it first. Videos on pruning, because the reason why I'll go to this section is because I would have pulled a lot of low stress training. Trimming, no. What other videos? Cutting. These are all my videos I'll show you. Share screen. Wow. All this. And some of them, anyway, how to bring back the mum, no. How to make, no, come on. I'll just say low stress training. Oh, it's not much. Let's see what he's put in here. See, it's mostly videos. Because I'm giving examples on what happens at different stages and what happens if you do this or don't do that. Okay, that's good for low stress training. That's good for, well, ladybugs are good to repel aphids. If you get any aphids, go out in the garden and grab some of them and watch them lay their babies. That's the only two. So this is a low stress training. So this is just showing, I'll mute it. Temperature control. Oh, actually, I'm going to unmute it. Looks like he's.
So I'm going to go and take off this one.
Let's see what he, hang
Will
on.
come up. 1, 2, 3, 4 there. And those 4 come up. And there should be low stress.
I hope you can hear it.
So I'm going to go and take off.
Instead of tipping it, puts it into a different pathway of cycling and activates its savior, like its immune system type defenses. And by doing it with this way, it's a bit more lower stress by taking a leaf off rather than taking a node off. It maintains oxen maxima.
5, and then these 2 either side, 6, 7 should come up.
By doing it this way, I'll just pause it there. So if you were to tip it there, you're losing the auxin, which is the plant hormone, one of the plant hormones, major ones. It's produced in the root tips and goes down to the shoot, from the tips to the root. Shoots to the roots. That's the little rhyme I was trying to think of. From the shoots to the roots, auxin maxima. It's polar flow. It flows in one direction. So it's produced up here and transported down and really helps in roots production. So if you were to go and tip it there, you're going to lose that benefit of the plant. So if you do it just with the leaves only in this technique, you can maintain auxin maxima.
Thank you. This is day 1 of the changeover.
This is in Canada. I'll stress this is in Canada under an ACMPR license.
So these are in veg.
I hope you can hear it.
And I turned off the light mover. It's got a few stationary vertical lights.
I did an experiment, one run with a light mover to see how it would react. This ceiling height in here is 4 foot maximum. Then you've got to try and put insulation in, pots, etc. So it's very, very difficult.
Horizontal hanging in on the side. And to keep all this at the same height, so I've gone and topped them all. Just take all the top leaves off and it stunts the top growth, because I want all of this to come up to this height and then stay that height. So I've got to train these to bring these bottom branches up. So you do the same on that. And then once it gets to this height, you'll do it again. And then it goes, and then you do it again. And that's what I'm going to do. These are a month ahead, so yeah, kind of sucks, but it should work. But I'll flip it when all of these get to have the 5 at the heads of the top. These are going to have 8 soon, maybe 16, but I'll just flip it then, so it just keeps its nice canopy. It's all good. Nice uniform canopy.
1 month later, it was fine. So everything was just perfectly level because the light stayed at the same height as well. That's a good way to, if the plants will grow into the light if they need more light. So if they're happy with their amount of PPFD that they're getting, they will stay at that height that they are at. So that's why I keep the lights pretty much at one height. Well, I had to in here because I had to train them. This is a highly trained little area, this one. What's the cool?
Stats. Yeah, the soil moisture.
Okay, we don't need to see all that. I think that helped for the answer to the question. See who else is rocked up. Benefits of defoliating and not defoliating. Well, that's a little bit of. Does that help Cloudscape Mysterio, or should I elaborate more? Dave, g'day. Jeff says, I've always wondered if defoliation bumps up the THC level and Terpenes as a defense mechanism, thinking it's been eaten. No. It was like lost limbs, so it's lost its pathways, it's massive, it's lost a limb type thing. It hasn't been sort of tickled on the surface like the endodermis. If something's on there, which is, on the green bits of the plant, right on the edges, the endodermis, that's where the sensors in there that the plant knows, and then it'll activate different pathways through that. So mild stress can alter those pathways pretty good. But if you're really hacking into it, it doesn't change the terpene or THC levels, as far as I know, mate. That's cool. It's just an interesting topic. Oh yeah, okay. That's cool. Okay. Should I elaborate more? I know I could elaborate more on that. Oh yeah, from the herbivores. Yes. So if it's getting activated from those pathways for the THC, remember the jasmonic acid is one of the stimulators for trichomes. All right, let's go into that a bit more. So Jeff said, I've always wondered if defoliation bumps up THC level and terps as a defense mechanism. So the fast answer is no, and then I'll show it to you why. Big boy, course, how you going, mate? This is what I'm just going to answer or elaborate on this topic. So Jeff says, yeah. Does it bump up, if you defoliate, does it bump up THC or terps? Because they think that they're being eaten and they activate their pathway, their jasmonic acid. So let me find that. That's science. It should be in the secondary metabolites, I reckon. Invite present. Share screen. Entire screen, sharing. Hope you can hear me all right, actually. There's a little message down there. It might suggest that my voice isn't coming through. Yeah, it's coming through. Good. Share screen. So I'm looking at the pathway. Secondary metabolites. Terpenoids. So in the secondary metabolites, there's three classes. There's terpenoids, there's flavonoids, and allied phenolic and polyphenolic compounds. And a third section, or the third classification, is nitrogen-containing alkaloids and sulfur-containing alkaloids. Sulfur-containing compounds. Actually, it's not alkaloids. Sulfur-containing compounds. Yeah. In that, I want to show, we're not talking about flavonoids, not talking about terpenoids. So terpenes, it hasn't got the diagram that I want, pathway for them to be made. What that's all about goes into the different terpenes. Oh, it's a monoterpene pathway. You know, the different, so goes through monoespressing pathway. IPP, GPS, low stress, general phosphate, okay, produces that, limonene, which produces that and goes into the endoplasmic reticulum mitochondria. All right, so that's not a way that I want to show you. That's a very technical way. That's not a, stop sharing screen. All right, I'll get back into it. It's not in there. Terpenes. Where's the pathway? It might be in here. It's pretty straightforward. Come on, trichomes in. There it is. Here it is. I found it, my friends. So when the plant stimulates a problem, it produces the secondary metabolites, and it'll go to jasmonic acid, and it'll go to a methyl jasmonic acid and put it out, so other plants will get a signal to through allelopathy. So it'll first, as the jasmonic acid is produced, it'll then activate the the J1 or the Jaz gene, and that activates the MYB75 or the GL3 gene, and then that initiates the formation of the trichomes. So is it going to go into the defense? So has it picked up that it's got for instance, the plant has, in its 35,000 genes that the plant has, one of them is a FLG22 gene, it's called. That's the flagella gene. And that's a gene that picks up if microbes come in with the flagella, which is that little tail at the back. You know how they move around? They can have cilia to move around, or they can have the flagella at the tail at the back. So it'll pick up on that. So for instance, if it's picked up on that and activated that gene, it'll go into defense. But if it hasn't, it'll just go into your normal terpenoids. And then the outcome will be it will defend against herbivores or insects. So by you cutting it, it's not going to activate this pathway to increase your trichome initiation and formation. I hope that answers. Let's go a little bit more into detail with that. Whoa. So you want to produce heaps and heaps of these with no air gaps. So you want all of these nearly touching. And you don't want them knocked off the top either, because the stuff is what we want is in the glandular head. You'll see it. I've been grading, what did I get to? Nearly 20 years now since my microscope. And I've looked at quite a few buds under it. And you can see how careful post-harvest productions are and growing techniques are by using the microscope. It's a pretty cool topic, actually. When I get set up in a few months, we'll go back into the microscope stuff and I'll start sharing live things with the microscope. I've got a 15 megapixel camera on my microscope, compound microscope, and you can get right in and you can see all some fancy stuff. What else we got here? Anything good? No. So that's not very good. That's heaps better. That's what you want to look at. Yes, bring it on. Cloudy trikes. Look at them. Nearly ready to be picked. And they could be picked then. I'm hoping there's going to be some other slides that we can see. Not just wooden trichomes. Oh, I stopped sharing. All right, back to that. Up there. Okay. That's cool. Just an interesting topic. Morning. I'm just reading chat. School has commenced. Real thanks, mate. I try. So it's an open stream again. So we've been talking a little bit about secondary metabolites. So if anybody's got any other questions, they're welcome to chime in. Actually, we were talking a little bit about defoliation and growing technique, low stress techniques. That's the other thing how it started off. Sorry, can't forget that. G'day, Ned Kelly. How you going, mate? Monty, nice to see you. Every day. Hello, hello. Lene, top of the morning to you, Lene. So what more can we talk about then? All right. There's no real questions. So how about I get back on to, well, secondary metabolites, we're getting into them. Let's see what else we've got under the trichomes. Yeah, some cool stuff here. I'll go on about, because we're predominantly trichome farmers, because we don't want to smoke anything else really but the trichomes. Inside there's little bits that are in the dermal tissue, in the idioblasts. There's other vacuoles that store terpenes and cannabinoids, but predominantly it's the trichomes. These different things. So these are the different types. So you want this. That's a clear one. So you'll know, you'll be stoked when you see that. And you want to keep it like that, and then it'll age a bit into its amber. Then you have to pick it. Well, you don't have to, but you get a different high. It changes into CBN, produces more CBN when it goes to amber. The THC ages into CBN. That's why you get the amber state, and the shelf life decreases a lot too. When I used to, it doesn't matter about that. So this is a unicellular, non-glandular. See, it's got no glands in it. This is solid, yes. And this is a sessile, so it's flat with the earth. There's no stalk capitate underneath it yet. And this is a stalk capitate trichome with all its glands at the side. You can see if you zoom in. This is a good enough photo. Simple bulbous trichome and a complex bulbous. So it's got multi-cells in it. Light microscopy, yes, we're just talking about that. Let's see a few electron scanning ones, shall we? Electro scanning of some trichomes. So this shows a bit better in the cells. So this might have different monoterpenes and sesquiterpenes, and the different stages of the trichome has different isoprene levels, which is the terpene levels, and that gives you your different your different terpene levels, like your different classifications from your isoprenes. Like if 0 to 5 carbon chain is monos and 5 to 10 is your sesquiterpene, and then it goes up in that 5 to 15, 5 to 20, and it goes right up. And they produce different terpenes that are in that, and that's how it works. Yeah. This is some electro-scanning versions of it. Very pretty, isn't it? It's little the cells underneath it. These are the cells, and that's the cell wall. It's so cool. You can stain these. You can do these stuff yourself. Actually, fluorescent microscope. You can put on a filter onto your microscope. You can do it with a 3D glasses, and it gives you a rad-looking lens. And I'll go on. This isn't a microscopy section. I just want to show you some rad things. All right, that's a bit small. Anything else in here that might be appropriate? Trichome stages. Here's some stages. So it'll start off with your monoterpenes, with little sesquiterpenes, and then as it grows, it gets a bit more sesquiterpenes in it, and it gets its stalk underneath. And then when it's pretty much ripe, it's it's got its big massive stalk, and you've got you can't see through the head in here because it's aged so much that it's milky too. So it's what you really want for good medicine. Trichome size in maturation. So this is a little chart that shows the actual length of the calyx down here, and on the y-axis it's percentage of its stalk. So it shows as it grows, as it gets older, it changes and gets a little bit bigger and develops more. Leaf sessile, mature, calyx one. What's this one? Disc cell numbers. So see in here, these are the disc cell numbers. So the different range from the different way it's developing, the different way it's getting its signals, and that's producing different chemicals to give these different disc cells inside of your terpene and different terpene contents. It's pretty funky. If you mind, you can zoom right in on. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? So what's happened here is this one's dried and shriveled up. So it's aged too much and it's just dried. It'll still have some bit of goodness in it, but see how its cell wall at the outside, it's a lot more thicker. So to rupture that, you nearly have to squash it. Where this one's nice and thinnish, you still got to rupture them and squash them. Like, that's what you get when you black stuff on your hands, when you touch them. You rupture this wall on the outside. And with these little tiny surface ones with no stalk capitate, a few sessiles, just produced on that. I had one that was so big that it was measured 220 micron across. These ones are only about 20 microns, and it measured 220, which in your filter bags, that's filtered at the first stage, so it wouldn't be kept. Very cool. What else is in there to show? Trichomes. What's this one? No, too blurry. Any good information? Trichomes. Well, the word trichome originated from the Greek word trichoma, refers to hair growth. They vary in size and morphology. They sure do. They can appear on leaves, yes. Stems, yes, definitely. You get about 0.02% off your stems if you want to recover it. Your leaves, well, you get ones close to the buds that are caned with it, that age faster. And your big fan leaves don't usually have it on it. The fruiting body is the bud itself, and the seeds don't generally have it with medical cannabis. And one of their functions is protection from animals and extreme weather. So it's the abiotic and biotic things that it comes across that'll put out defenses, and that'll put out different types of odors and smells that want to repel and attract different things. And that's why from the same mother plant, you can get, I've had 3 different terpene profiles out of the same mother plant, and that's because it was put under different conditions, which resulted in the different terpenes getting produced. So it tastes and smells differently. Covering trichs are hairy, and in anatomy, morphology, and microstructure. Yes, sort of went through that before. Glandular, went through that. Yep, that's when they've got the stalk underneath it. Glandular trichomes is referred to as an array of glands. These types of trichomes are known to secrete various substances, including water, nectar, resins, mucilage, and terpenes, among others. and there's various different types that I showed earlier. Yeah, here you go, we'll show them again. So they're your unicellular, that's your glandular with your glandular heads, it's your multicellular glandular. That's its formations. Terms used in trichomes. Glabrous is lacking hairs, so you don't want glabrous because that's just lacking hairs. So if you've got glabrous trichomes, you can say, someone sound professionally, oh, you got glabrous. And I think, wow, I've got coolness. But really, it's lacking hairs, so it means it's going to be of a lower percent. Pubescent, bearing hairs. Here, I don't know if I'm going to read all these, but these are different ways to describe different describe trichomes. Oh yeah, kind of went through that a bit before. Of the sessile, the uni, sessile, which is there. Stalked capitate, and the unis, unicellular. All right, is that it? Something's got to be going on. There's a good trichome section done, I think. Anything else happening? Any questions? Anybody's? Benefits of using spent grain. Oh yeah, some good benefits of using spent grain. That's microbiology. I can go into that. All right, I'll go into that a bit. Just catch up, make sure there's nothing else that's been asked about anything. Morning, sure feeling like morning. That's good. I have fungal bloom happening across the buds. Next should be mushrooms. I have a fungal bloom happening across the beds. Next should be mushrooms. Yes, that's very, very good. Yep, mushrooms means you've got a fungal dominant substrate, which means your pH is a good condition because fungus doesn't really grow at high pHs. And fungi generally grows between 5 and 15 Celsius. So that might suggest that temperatures are starting to drop a little bit. Mycelium builds up. Jeff, are very healthy in the soil? Hell yes, they sure are healthy. How do we get rid of thrips? All right, well, that's next. I got some really good suggestions on that. I struggled with thrips for a while, and I did a few experiments with that too. Morning, come on, what's that question up here that somebody asked? I think Jeff said something. Oh, there. No, didn't he say something else? Oh, benefits of using spent grain. Well, it still has things to break down. It's spent grains usually for fungals growing mycelium. Yeah, that's the substrate for so that might be what you've got here. Actually, that's pretty funny. He's probably laughing too because he's put down the grain at the bottom, and that's what it's using that to feed off. It's a really good agent for growing mushrooms. I don't know how to explain it. It just is. But the benefits are for the microbes. So it's going to colonize good microbes in there as they're going to break down further. So the grains are going to break down into different other things. Let's go into the microbiology section. Microbes are rad. I've talked about microbes for ages. When we talk about microbes with relation to breakdown of grain, so decomposting, microbes essential, microbes. There's your thrips here, just for that next question. These are your different thrips. So I think you'll probably have Western flower thrips under my microscope. That's the ones I had. There's a few different types you can get. Yes, and you want to, anyway, we'll get onto that next. Please remind me if I get off, because I get excited when I talk about microbes, because they're needed everywhere. And that's how our roots function. Because organically, microbes break down all the things that the exudates are asking for. So this is essential elements related to microbes. For I've gone through the plant ones, which has 17 and 2 floating ones with the plant's essential elements. And then this is the microbe essential elements. So it's the major ones it wants is from the air. So it's the carbon and oxygen from the air, and hydrogen over here is another one. And its other 2 major ones are the nitrogen, the potassium, phosphorus, and sulfur. And that's right. That's what they need. That's not really going to help. Hang on, where's the one? Availability of nutrients, macro, micronutrients. Microbes need macro and micronutrients to synthesize cellular components. So that's just going to go into it pretty in depth. Because various microbes require different things. Like iron require microbes require iron. So ferric or ferrous oxides is what it would require. Nickel would require, it's different other things, but in general, it needs the CH and O and the NPS, and then the calciums for the cell walls, magnesiums for stabilizing ribosomes. But so that's its essential nutrients it needs. So by breaking down of those wheat grains, it's going to produce this, and it's going to allow microbes to continue to proliferate. What is the ideal method of growing phosphorus solubilizing bacteria? Why roots grow in excess of, that's potassium. Okay, it's potassium. Sorry, potassium solubilizing bacteria. Why roots grow in excess of phosphorus is limited. All right, this is just, that doesn't really help the question. I think that's kind of answered. Actually, getting into a bit of, I think that's kind of answered. Did it, mate? Can you update me, Jeff, the benefits of using spent grain? Did that answer it, please? Oh, that's right, Ned Kelly. Yes. Google, he says, how you going, Google? He says flame fryer, and he's pretty much right. They are very, very hard to get rid of. The reason being is because they breed so fast. Their life cycle is so long. They've got a 45-odd day life cycle, and they breed very fast. So by the time that you'll go and apply beneficials, they've probably already gone and proliferated so much. If you've seen more than 4 flying around, Ned, you've got an infection. No. You've got a, what's that word? Well, if it's anything, if you see 2 flying around, you can deal with it, but anything more than 4, and you've got a infection. No, you've got a big problem anyway. There's a big word for that. You've got a massive problem, and beneficials probably mightn't help it alone. That's where you'll have to get out your isopropylene, very strong stuff. I've done an experiment showing, actually, let's go into that. Videos, where are they? Just trying to find, not to edit. They're all the ones I got to edit still. Holy mackerel. What was I looking for again? Actually, what was I looking for again? Thrips, that's right. Video on Thrips. Thank you for reminding me, that person that said that. I'm sharing screen yet. No, because I haven't found the section. Videos made. Thrips. Tissue culture. No, there's no bloody. How to fast dry? No. Fungus. Enhancing. Are you kidding me? Mulch. Root size, tissue cut trimming, new side lighting, dispensary. How to successfully get rid of spider mites. No way. Drying bud, cutting, charcoal. Oh, it's on my YouTube. But I haven't got all the edits for it here. How to make, because I could have gone into the section and I would have had all the videos, all the snippets that I had to, the slides to make it. Mulch inoculation, protozoa. It's not blooming there, blooming chem slides. Ah, gee whiz. Well, I'm going to have to remember a lot of stuff. I'm going to have to show you some slides. Oh, that's a pain. Remember, I'm doing this live. Videos to edit, is it maybe in there? It's not, because it's been released. Let's quickly look through all these. There's another bloody 20 videos in here I've got to edit. Bits to edit. Where are we? Plants essential niche notes, sensors, seed dormancy. Come on, soil microbes. Worm bin hotel. Ion exchange, ploidy, volcano. Fair dinkum. All right. I give up, so I'm going to have to go into Thrips. Let's go into plant science. Into, where's the plant development, plant efficiencies? It might actually be in microbes, plant immune system. What was your question? Just how to actually, instead of showing you stuff, I've taken ages here. I'm just going to answer the question. So how do you get rid of thrips? You use, the bios are cucumeris. I've got a chart for that. Cucumeris. Hypoapsis for the soil. Cucumeris is going to be for the phyllosphere, which is above the roots in the leaves. Below the soil is the rhizosphere. That's where you want. Cucumeris is above. Hypoapsis is in the soil. I call it hypoaspis because that's how it's spelled. Anyway, I'll find this chart for you. So present. So I think I know where this is. It's in microbes. Allow microbes. Let's get out of this one. Back into microbes again. Yay. Or is it in here? I think it's down here. There it is. So thrips on the right. Cucumeris. There you go. That's where I got them. Cucumeris definitely is one that works really well. It might cost you a bit, but you must get this. Hypoaspis is all right. Montgenesis is rad. That's cheap too. So I would get, what's going on here? No. I'd definitely get cucumeris and Montgenesis. That's going to cost you $180 delivered, but mate, it's going to be money well and truly worth spent. You can get some hypoaspis thrown in, big deal, but for probably $40. But definitely cucumeris. That's going to be the dearest. Montgenesis works with a lot of bugs. Look over here. Spider mites, broad mites, russet mites, white flies. So all of these things it can kill. So it's even handy if you're coming up to springtime and want to do a bit of IPM, get some Montgenesis. Sorry for the people in the States in North America. I think you might have to look harder to get that because I couldn't find it when I went over there. It's so handy. And while we're on the IPM, another thing, if you find any lacewings, they're really beneficial for all of the moving stuff, the bigger things you can see, the macropods. So lacewings will protect against caterpillars, mealybugs and soft scale and hard scale, which is on the stem. You'll see little cankers on the stem. That's what that looks like. Stem cankers on the cannabis plant. It's really small. And you go, what's this little growth thing? Yeah, it does. It's sucking stuff out of it. It is a growth. They're called hard scales. And lacewings fix that up. And aphids. So I talked about ladybugs before. There's ladybugs in the middle. And lacewings help with that. So really, it's a good all-round thing, the Montgenesis and that. How do you get rid of thrips? That's biological. Now, the next way, I'll leave this up. Now, the next way to get rid of them is if you've got a invasion. Is that the word? No, it's a better one. If you've got more than 4 flying around, you're going to have to do some hardcore soil soak techniques and kill your microbes. You're going to have to kill all bugs in your phytosphere around your leaves, and you wouldn't be spraying on bugs, on your buds. So if this is in floral stage, sorry, mate, you just got to put up with it, or hope these biologicals can really help you so you can finish early. And you'd introduce ethylene gas from bananas or apples and leave those bags and bunches open, and you would allow it to finish early so you could at least get some product. Don't spray it. And if you're in veg stage, there is a chance you can muck around a bit more. So you can put soil drenches in, and you can put, what's the good stuff for that? This is very full on isopropanol. So I did an experiment and seen how long it was for the plant tissue to kill itself off. And it took about 2 minutes. So in other words, if you spray it for 30 to 60 seconds, and then spray with water. So what that does is it'll kill your thrips, but the tissue of the plant won't be inhibited because you'll have washed it off. On one of my videos, look up my videos, I've got 3 different ways I've killed thrips under the microscope, and you can see the length of time that it does take to kill them under the microscope. And reverse osmosis water was another good way. That was created a hypertonic situation where the pressure was different, and it sucked it in and drowned it. Yeah, it's a bit technical and hard to explain quickly, but that's another way. Another also way is you can go and agitate the pot. They'll fly and carry on around, and then you'll go and grab them with water. So spray water in the air or put water on your hands, and they will break the surface tension and drown within 2 or 3 seconds. Also, you can leave buckets out with some wetting agent in it, so the surface tension on the water is broken, allowing them, if they touch on the top of it, they'll fall through it. They won't just float on top of it. I found that very effective to get rid of thrips. You might be a lot of manual work, but it's well and truly worth it, because 1 or 2 thrips is enough to start kicking off. And if you can get down them to stop more than 4 flying in the air, if you get 3 and then 2 from all of these techniques that I've suggested, you can introduce these biologicals successfully, and then let them take over. So your cucumis and your montgenesis should be able to take over from there if you can get it down to that stage. There are botanicals you can also spray in veg, like onion and rosemary and that type of stuff. But I didn't do that type of thing because I'm just not a sprayer. Yeah. But if it would come to that, I probably would have gone and tried the botanical route first, because that's organic and can be broken down. Pyrethrum don't work. All right, that was a bit of a full-on thing I went on with. How do you get rid of thrips? I hope that helps, Ned Kelly. I have 300 odd kilos of, I think it's fungal mushrooms he's got. That's the way. Mr. Dave, Jeff, it's only been 2 weeks, really been. Aussie Autos, here you go, mate. See, Stony Creek, g'day. It's an open stream, fellas. And Sheila's, I've been just talking about terpenes and a bit of bug stuff, and some defoliating at the start. So any questions? Oh gosh, look how the chat's been. Oh, I've got a lot to catch up with. Hang a heap of those stick pads. Yes, sticky pads are really good for picking up the first inch. If you haven't got them sticky pads up, put them up like Dave 1969 says, because that will tell you, initially you would have seen thrips on it. Instead of the big yellow pads or green pads, they say green attracts thrips. I don't believe that. That you will have seen on it. So it's an IPM technique to see what's starting to develop in around where your medical cannabis plants are. So the hanging of those sticky pads are rad. You can go and buy A4 sizes for $10 for, how many of it? Oh no, they were B5 sizes. So half an A4 size, and you can get 10 of them for $5 online. That major place to buy. Infestation. That's the word I was looking for. Thanks, John 420. Yeah, if you got more than 4 flying around, it's an infestation. That's what I say. Good on you, mate. Aussie Autos, bugs for bugs. Stony Creek says, was looking at potted fruit trees on Friday and at a shop, the pictures are magic. Very good. Read chat CC and you'll have that word after all. Okay. Oh, g'day, Monty, by the way, too. Oh my God, Stony, that'd be awesome. Hang on, what did he say? It's not medical cannabis, so I didn't really get into it. Part and the bark on top, touched them and made sure they went straight through. The peaches had magic coming out of it. Coming out the bark mulch on top. Oh, okay. Oh, that's good stuff then. They were cheaper, but $40 each. $40 each is a bit expensive for a tree of peaches. You can propagate your own. Bugs for bugs, yes. Oh, what do you say? Bugs for bugs is too late once you have an infestation, yes. Always ask. Stony, as the autos. Oh, here we go. Why are my plants growing so fast? Because you've got out of the 35,000 genes that the plant has, odd, depends which cultivars you have, you're ticking all the right parameters. So you're giving him its 19 essential elements it wants in the requirements it wants. You're not overdoing it in toxic amounts or underdoing it in deficient amounts, and you're keeping everything else in check, all the abiotic, antibiotic stresses. And you've got good genetics, which allows that to happen as well. So that's what everybody strives for, and keep up the good work, mate. Hey, Main Green Grower 420, hope you're enjoying your cold. He's going grrr right now. Any mycology questions? LOL. Yes, he gets into his mycology stuff as well. It's very beneficial. And now they've actually, yeah, you might have heard that. These fellows in the States, they've legalized mushrooms, and they've legalized MDMA and psilocybin in the whole of Australia is legal now, and it can be prescribed by certain doctors. So they've finally recognised it as a useful tool, and I do support mushroom or psilocybin. It works. I've had it a lot, over 100 times, and under medicinal circumstances, and I only support the cubensis variety, the cubensis genus, because it's regulated by weight. Most other psilocybin mushrooms for fungus is not regulated by weight. So to do it properly, you really want it by weight, and then you're not overdoing it or underdoing it. You'll know you'll use it for medicine. That's a very, very important thing. So if you see all these blue meanies, green tops, or yellow tops, all sorts of other stuff, just don't get them. Get the stuff that's has the cubensis genus attached to it. Psilocybe cubensis, you want one of those. Then you can get various strains from out of that. Not strains, cultivars. Bugs for bugs is awesome. Living soil, PGR. Yes, living soil's the go. I only promote the organic practice. Synthetics is only a new thing, been used for the last 150 years, where plants have been growing for the last 4 million years, no, billion years. So I promote that way, so it's sustainable. Leave my PGR alone, he says. Yes, that's a joke, because some PGRs are carcinogenic. In the States and North America, they've outlawed plant growth regulators that are still sold in hydroponic shops in Australia. So be careful. Don't get PGRs or carcinogenic ones. You know by looking at the active ingredients in it and seeing if it's banned or if it's beneficial. If you were to go the synthetic route, which I suggest not to. Yeah, beginning to grow, we can offer pine bulk March here. They usually have gold top spores. Reasons gold tops been away for decades. Yes, some of the fungals cultivars require pine bark mulch. They really thrive off that, and you'll see them growing out of stumps and cut timber and things like that have aged because they really like that substrate. Fewer bugs, just restore it, he says. Yes, sometimes. You can fight them sometimes. It's good to try, especially if you've got mother plants. You can put a resistance into your genetic line. I always start with predatory soil mites and sticky traps around top ring of pot. Only cure is prevention. Yes, predatory in your soil or your substrates, in good soil, you're supposed to have a equal amount of predatory soil mites. Can I show you that? We're nearly at the end. We are. All right, let's elaborate. Oh, 50 minutes. I've been going for a while. Actually, I don't need to elaborate. But you've got an equal amount and then that's why good genetics can fight off that. Good genetics will help overcome any problems, and by keeping a high predatory, beneficials and predatory soil mites, you will maintain a good symbiosis. Insect frays helps keep pests down, boost trichome. Yes, it does boost trichome production. Incest poo. Yes, it does. Here you go, John. I left Thrips at 3 weeks before harvest. Did early harvest and left some bud sites and didn't treat the plant, and it became an infestation. Got worse day by day. I don't grow now. Oh, sorry to hear that, mate. At least you know for next time. As soon as you see it, watch that video I made, or rip them out, or do something. Or you shouldn't even get to an infestation because you sort of have sticky traps around. Oh, there's still heaps of chat to go. Thanks, CC, for the answer. Oh, good stuff. I'm glad it helped. Don't have to elaborate. I keep pads in my pots, and I like ladybugs in my tent. I just sprayed neem oil. Neem oil is excellent. Azadirachtin is the main ingredient in it, and it is so beneficial. It's organic and produced from the neem tree, and it works really, really well against many things. I always have resorted to neem in the past too as a spray. Good suggestion. Neem cake too, you can put in your substrate. Works well. It's got good nitrogen source. I sprayed neem oil on my girls. Heaps of little flea-like things I've never seen before. Aussie can elaborate on that, please. Oh yeah. Heaps. I sprayed neem oil. Oh yeah, that's why. Because the neem, the azadirachtin, it repels. It's a neurotoxin, and it gets in and it repels anything in its, it messes with its neurons. So it'll tremor, it'll seizure and fit. You might see things shaking, and it'll slowly kill them. So you've just put stuff on and knocked off, and you could have, mind you, that could have been beneficials that knocked it off, or they could have been ones that lay dormant, like are there, and they're neither beneficial nor predatory. They'll just be there to work off other mites or other types of its food source. But that's what happened. Neem. 5 minutes to go to an hour. Oh, I got to go through the chat. But neem's a good one. I've got a fair bit. My studies are, I study plant soil science and microbiology, and that's in India. So India's the highest producing country in the world for neem. So a lot of my studies are related to that, and I have got a lot of slides on neem. So I can elaborate heaps on that. And if you want to bring it up maybe next week, mate, because I've got a lot to catch up. As you can see, this is all where I'm up to. I use yellow, some up high. Yes, the sticky traps are rad. Like Aussie Auto said, you can tear them off. You cut them up in little sizes. I've also cut them up. Aussie Auto says before, he puts them around the top of his pots. I've also cut them up to put in as you stick them in the soil. So you put like a paddle pop stick on and staple it to that beneath the plant. You can put them around the actual stem of the plant as well to stop things for crawling insects that want to crawl up. I've also been anal about my environment. Yes, you have to, mate. You've got to be anal about your environment. It's the best thing. Abiotic and biotic stresses. The biosphere is the things that have a heartbeat to them. So that's all the insects, fungus, mold, like all those things in flight, stuff you can't mostly see. And your abiotic means A is non, and biotic means heart. So non-heart things. So that's like your wind, your temperature, your humidity, etc. Your gases, of course, that's major. Someone say, g'day, Terence. Yes, it's very beneficial now. It's legalised in Australia as well. Psilocybin. No, I don't support gold tops or blue meanies. I support cubensis genus, as cubensis can be weighed by how much you'll have 0.7 or 0.8 if you're feeling a bit that, or a bit maybe 0.5, you know, but gold tops can't. So I don't support gold tops or blue meanies or anything else without cubensis. Supreme Grape. G'day, Supreme Grape. I know what terpene you like. Banana Farmer, how you going? Same here. There's fantastic. I support cubensis. Laughing, it's the best medicine. Mate, it's superior medicine. It's if you've ever, I've had it over 100 times, or let's say around 100. So if you're ever feeling a bit down or you're depressed, get onto some of that. Fair income, it really, 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 really works. It's like a reset for the human brain. We've got reset for the bodies with our detoxes. Detox the brain. That's what this is. And it's fair. If you get your cubensis, you will get a weighed amount, so you will be able to detox under your variety. There could be, I could nearly do out a kilo weightage. So, because say if I'm 80 kilos and I like 0.7, or let's say 0.8, there you go, 0.1 per 10 kilos of body weight would be something that I'd suggest. Not that I'm a doctor or I prescribe, but from my experience, you could do something like that with cubensis. And go on the underside, if anything, so the next time you can go a little bit more, because you don't want to overdo it, because it'll just do the wrong thing. You want to have a good amount. Be prepared for it, though. It is a strong medicine. You don't take it lightly, that sort of stuff. You have to really have an afternoon off, lock the doors, put the keys up high, and, yeah, tell everybody that you're just having a relaxing afternoon, do your own thing for 4 or 6 hours. You'll be medicated. So yeah, g'day Banana Farmer too. I didn't say hello, I don't think. Psilocybin cubensis can be cultivated indoors around the world. Yes, currently in Australia you can't cultivate it, unfortunately, legally wise. It's very unfortunate. But in the States, North America, you can. Yeah, that's right. It's legal finally in Australia. Been studying mycology for a few years. Yes, you have main green, and you do quite well. Got some big banana plate. I see it, my fruiting bodies. I don't condone cultivation indoors. Okay, just pick up the outdoors. Laws of the soil. My mushies all around the world. Oh, right. I've never seen PGR weed on the market here. Yes, in North America, they don't. It's illegal. The PGR product, I can't remember the names of them, the chemical compounds in is illegal. But if you search that compound in Australia, it's in our hydroponic solutions that all of the criminals and all of the people who don't respect the plant and use it as medicine, they still use that, mate, because they say they use those to cap the height. So if you use their PGRs, there's no stretching. And because of these amateur growers that only grow it for money, for profit, that's what they use it for, mate, and they pollute people and cause carcinogenic problems in the users. Yes, I got to quickly go. I'm going to have to skip through a few of these. Good news, Tassie, only 9 likes, says Tassie. People cultivate cannabis. You condone that? No, I don't think you're talking to me, mate. I don't condone people who cultivate cannabis. That's what this show's about. And sticking to the laws, of course. Oz law and legality. Yes, it's something that has to be respected. Australian law and legality for the people that are living in it. Unfortunately, I would eat mushies indoors, then smoke a bud indoor. Eat a mushy indoor. Yep. Nothing wrong with indoor. Just Just the law. High-powered lights and newts and CO2 isn't good for you. That's right. Yes. That's proven science. High-powered lights. Newts. Yeah. Well, the newts, that goes on with the growth balance differential hypothesis. That if you're baby feeding or spoon feeding it, it's the plant can't fend for itself. CO2 actually, I don't know about that one. I've got some things that do suggest that it does increase yields. Maybe you're talking about mushrooms, I'm not sure. Because yeah, mushrooms, they have a different pathway of respiration. Just can't spray flowers with neem unless washing buds. Okay, I don't suggest to spray buds ever. I don't suggest spraying ever. Finish it early. Look at my video on cannabis senescence so you can finish your plant early. There's many techniques I suggest in that to try and get it to finish 10 to 15 days early, and you can do that. Pure Crop 1, yes, that's a good botanical spray. That's what I mentioned before with the onion and the rosemary and those types of stuff that it's got in it. It's really reliable, and it's organic too. Cocoa spores. Okay, PC, that puddle pop idea is phenomenal. Oh, that's for the sticky traps. Not sure on that. Green, just stick. Okay, they're talking amongst themselves. Interesting, Aussie. When it comes to shrooms, accuracy and dosing is the key. It is right. Otherwise, you have too much, and it's horrible. And you don't want to ever have any again. It taints you. You could be stuck in that state forever. It could activate a pathway which you don't want. It could cause some problem that you don't want. So you have to get the right dose with medicine. That's why same with cannabis. That's why I talk about this medicinal cannabis. That's what I promote and talk about. When used properly, it's a proper medicine, fair income medicine. It will help your body and your mind get through events that couldn't before get through. Thanks for your support, mate. Spot on. Psilocybin causes necrogenesis and the new creation of recreation of old, pathways, okay. If you don't have a grand to spend on PGR, okay, just go organic. Go organic. There's a way. I've got quite a few videos on how to make your substrates to go organic, and then you'll just top dress and defend deficiencies through foliar sprays. Psilocybin is strong. Yes. Hey, Wombat Organics, how you going, mate? New studies think neem oil is responsible for hypoesmus. Well, there's all sorts of things being called for that. Yeah, I bet you that's the hypermesis. That means that hypomesis syndrome in cannabis means that people presenting to the doctors, they blame this different type of cannabis for this syndrome. And it's where you're like anxious and real. Hyper means uppity. And they blame cannabis on it. The reason I think it's from cannabis, it's true, but it's because other people have grown with unorganic techniques and not finished the plant properly. So they've got street version weed, which has been grown very poorly with all sorts of inputs in poor substrates, being fed pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, insecticides, all that sort of stuff. So that's what goes and promotes these syndromes. Proper medicinal cannabis, like I promote, is safe as. It's grown in nutrient-rich medium which has no heavy metals or biotoxic things for the plant to accumulate, like that you're talking about there, Wombat. The cannabis plant is a bioaccumulator, so it accumulates things that are put in its pathway, attaching to its rhizosphere or its phyllosphere, and it absorbs them, it goes through and processes it. And these things get pushed into its idioblasts, its vacuoles, its dermal tissue, and its trichomes, all different types of storage areas, and then we go and consume it. So you're right with exactly what you said. But unfortunately, it's people that have gone and sprayed and used it too much and too heavy, like they might have sprayed and kept it, because neem oil, it's, is it systemic? It's not systemic. So it's not going to stay in your plant. So if you're going to spray on buds, look out. But if you go with the safe practices of growing, you should not be able to get those outcomes. Good suggestion. Good comment, Wombat. Atomic Spoon, how you going, mate? We get a new potting mix here. We made a heated, expanded pine. Heated? We made a treated, expanded pine from leftovers in pine tree harvest. It's our line. And at what? Bunnings. Do you have Bunnings in the States? And had organic goodies added. They must have Bunnings in the States. Holy mackerel. That's sad to hear. Anyway, I didn't comment on what you said. Oh, how you just made your substrates. Well, just remember though, with if you make your own substrate, test for pH, because good soil will regulate itself because of its activities that it has going involved with its humic acids and its humic substances, and its fulvic acid, its humate, humin. So the pine mix is acidic generally. So keep in mind, if you're making your own like that, just pH it before you go and use it. So you pour some pH'd water through first, and then see the pH on the runoff and see what the difference is. Skimming down, very airy, not hydroponic. Yeah, you don't want that. Yo, Atomic, ACT. Yes, ACT. Yes, that's legal here for everything. ACT, it's unreal. I only support medicinal mushrooms and medicinal cannabis. They're the only two things I support. I don't support any other drugs. Mind-altering, body-altering things. Pure Crop 1 is able to be used in... Yeah, it says it is. That's right, it says it is, but do you want to be smoking these things? And I know I don't. I want my buds to be clean, and I don't want any headaches or any throat hits or any problems. How do you know that if you're getting onion, smoking onion, it might be safe, but when you combust it or put it at a temperature to volatilize it, it might release different types of gases that hurt your insides. So I don't promote any spraying in flower. I promote finishing it early. If you've got calyx pistils, your anthers that are showing, and if you've got more than one calyx formed, I don't promote spraying ever. I promote finishing your crop early, or do it better next time and learn from your mistakes. But that is a way, and a lot of things do say on it that they can be sprayed in flower, and you can. But again, I only teach the medicinal way, or I only practice medicinal practices and promote those types of things. Thanks for your support, Terence. Neurogenesis, yes. Atomic Spoon. Yeah, I had a couple bros use that. I just buy peat bales and add aeration. And worm castings and compost. Perfect. Perfect. Worm castings and organic compost. Well, they're the two main things that you should be using if you're going that route. Well done. Yep. It'll supply the nutrients, and then the compost supplies nutrients for your microbes. So for your cycle, it'll virtually feed itself. It's a good way. Then you want aeration, and he's got his aeration by his peat. I use 50% aeration, and I use perlite. Good mix. Atomic Spoon. I'd smoke your buds, mate. Stony Creek. Kiwi invention to help not using peat moss and renewable. Well, you can recycle your substrates, as I do, by getting a big tote or a big plastic drum, tipping your pots into it and letting the stuff float. So your aeration stuff, your peat, perlite, hydroballs, all those things float. Scoop them out, dry them out. There you go. There's one section. Or your soil will float, will sink. So you scoop that out, store it, bag it, or even leave it for 10 months and it'll go darker, meaning more fertile. Soil organic matter will have worked and microbes will have interacted symbiotically and released and recharged it. So reuse things and be renewable, please. Good on you, Stony Creek. What's your order? Par meter is to measure. Yes, it is. Safe as PPFD in seedlings. Okay. There's his PPFD in seedlings. Okay, that's Aussie Auto. Very good, mate. Hello, Sunshine. your day from work, he reckons. Don't work too blimmin' hard, mate. If you have CO2 can push flower to PPFD, yes, you can. Yes, because remember it's, go for an hour 10. Where is that slide? Oh, God, I'll pull up. Actually, I'm not going to pull up. Remember there's 19 essential elements that out of the first 3 come from the air, CH and O, and they make up 95% of the plant's requirements, essential elements, CH and O. So out of that, we'll break it down again, and one of them is carbon, and that's 45% out of that it requires for the plant. So if you are, everything's at its premium, you can give it more CO2, and that's going to give it more of its nutrients requirements, allowing it to get its benefits, so you can equal everything out. So yes, if you do, everything is perfect and you see the plant thriving, you can increase lighting, increase that, push limits, push salinity, push those types of things. But that's very advanced growing. And it's, I've only done a couple of clean runs where everything's been perfect out of the, I don't know, 50 or out of how many I've ever done. My medicine is what comes from the earth. Yes. Geosmin is the smell of good earth. Geosmin. That's what everything should, we're down to the bottom. That's what everything should smell like. Yeah, Taz, it's about combusting. And then he says, never seen Bunnings in the States, just Home Depot and Lowe's. Yes. Oh, okay, that's good then. Well, we've got to the end of everything, and it's gone a bit over. Great episode, CC. Thanks again, mate. Save your questions. Maybe that neem one, Big Boy Kush, for next week, and I can really elaborate on neem and go into that. I'm studying one of my classes. I'm only doing one class this semester, Soil Science and Technology. We're getting heavily into soil air, soil water, soil porosity. So that's some stuff I can elaborate on and show you some cool slides soon too. It's so interesting because then you can know what's happening in the rhizosphere by what's happening and what happens if you give it too much water and not too much, because it's about oxygen for the plant's roots to get its CH and O from, because 45% of its nutrient requirements comes from oxygen as well, and they are fed in through its roots. So if you've got water around it, it's 10,000 times slower for oxygen to be pulled out of the H2O than it is out of the atmosphere. So by over-watering it and saturating your substrates, that's what you get. Yeah, sweet bro, would love to know more next week for shiz. Okay, good stuff. You hopefully remind me, and we can go on about neem maybe. Neem. I'm going to retitle this one. What do we mainly talk about today? I've got to scroll up. Bit on PGR, substrates, aeration, mycology. Yeah, maybe a bit of fungal stuff. What was that answer? Thanks, CC answer. Anyway, I haven't got anything prepared for next week, so it'll be the same again. So I appreciate your input and your help, and I really appreciate your chat, because if without the chat, I'd be sitting here talking to myself, looking at a blank screen. So thank you very much to every one of you guys and girls. Hope you have an excellent day and night wherever you're listening. I appreciate you so much. And for the sponsoring people, I really appreciate you guys just to helping out that little bit more. That's what that button does underneath. There's a few different features under it. So thanks heaps for those people that helped me out with that too. I'm not sure if you want me to mention you. Yes, great information. Thanks, Dave. Great info, Danae. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right, so that's good. Thanks, everybody, again. And happy growing, happy breeding, and good health to you all. See you next 7 days. Bye-bye. See you, Supreme Green.